Do you like comic books, video games, movies, and television? Are you way more interested in fictional superheroes than actual human beings or real life? Do you like listening to people discuss these topics for roughly an hour or two at a time?
Well, if you liked when this asshole did it alone, you're gonna love me.
This is the intro to our podcast, ain't it? What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Bat in the Hat podcast, where we dive deep into all things nerd. My name is Thomas Elliott, and with me, as always, is Matt. Just Matt. What's up, Matt?
What's up? What's up? What's up? Scare up? How you doing?
I hate you. What are we doing today, Matt? We're doing our comic book reading club for Batman Hush. And I'm so incredibly excited because I love this book, and I think that it is, honest to God, like a must-read book for any Batman fan. Any comic book fan has to read this. Well, I think it's 12 issues of Batman back when they would change writers and artists every about 10 to 12 issues. I mean, you remember that time in the 90s when they didn't have people on long stints of Batman. It was
Nothing gold can stay, man.
Yeah, it was the before New 52 and all that kind of stuff. This actually occurred about 10 issues. This ended about 10 issues before Under the Red Hood started. So there's just a very short gap between Jason Todd coming back, but
which is ironic because
of how So it was a we'll get to that for sure, because there's a lot of
this book I've mentioned before has some of the best art in the biz, my friends.
So written by Jeff Loeb,
amazing.
Who's a comic book great, and done by the amazing, probably my favorite artist, Jim Lee, who every single panel is just breathtaking and painstakingly done to where he spent hours and hours and hours on every page. And
this is probably my most valued, if not one of my most valued trade paperbacks that I own. I think it is the best value that you can get for what it is. It is a long book. It is not short. It's if you don't have it, if you haven't read it, you need to do yourself a favor.
Yeah, like I said, it's 12 issues long. What I love about trade paperbacks like this is always you get you go at the back of the book, they have all of the covers, and sometimes they'll have variants and stuff to show you like all what was released, and they're so good, man. I don't think Jim Lee did all of the covers, but they were all very well done. And the main cover is that you get for the trade paperback, that signature split down the middle.
Yep.
That is for issue number 2.
Kind of looking like a Harvey Dent-esque split right down the center, half Hush, half Batman.
Yeah.
Which plays into the story itself too, so it's a great cover to represent the book.
Absolutely.
It's fantastic.
It's a really great book, man. I couldn't say more about it.
And this was the introduction of Hush, so you got to remember, like, this villain was created for this story.
Now,
so brand new villain.
And he hasn't really appeared in many other places. He's only made, I think, 2 other comic book appearances, and they were both very short.
Well, they do technically have a sequel to this. I own that as well. It's called Heart of Hush.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
It's decent. It's nowhere near on the same level as this. I was about to say,
but they took it in a different direction.
Yeah, the art's
I don't think
different.
I've read the whole thing.
Like, the art style's different. The story is, like, okay. But if you really enjoy the character of Hush, which I do, and I know tons of people do, it's cool because it's just a continuation.
Well, what I'll say is I think that what I enjoy most about this book is Hush himself. You're shrouded in mystery for the whole book, but that character himself, other than wondering who he is, if if you go into this without any spoilers and you go into this book not knowing who he is, you are wondering the whole time, who could it possibly be? But what makes it interesting is all the other characters, because you don't flesh out a lot of Hush, right?
Yeah.
So you don't get to know him as a character.
Yeah, you get to know a little bit of origin, who he is, obviously.
His intrigue stops once you figure out who he is.
Right. I love stories like that, too, when it's a new villain and you don't know who it is, and that's a big part of the story is, like, who is it? Like, where is this person coming from?
I think what's interesting about the book in total is it's really about Batman, and obviously it's very centered around Batman and Catwoman and their relationship, but it's very much centered around Batman's relationship with everyone around him.
Yes.
It's very much centered around Batman and the Robins, Batman and his rogues, Batman and everybody who he comes in contact, and you really get a sense of how strong his family and how strong his, like, who he really has in his corner throughout this entire book. And we're going to talk a little bit about all that later. First, let's just go through the news real quick because we have a lot of stuff to go over. And honestly, a lot of really
news, dude. I love news.
I know you do.
I love it.
It's really exciting. We do actually have some really great shit to talk about that I think you're going to like. But let's kick it off with Rob Liefeld, who you may know as the creator of Deadpool and Cable, both Deadpool and Cable.
I believe so. Yes.
He quit Twitter. And he quit Twitter because he started a lot of shit with DC. He posted these tweets about how DC was about to implode, and how they are going to shut their doors very soon. And he just started shit talking DC a whole lot.
He's talking a lot of shit because Ryan Reynolds brought him a lot of success. So,
but you know what I mean? He just first of all, Rob Liefeld's always been a prick. Like there's no getting around
I'm not
this.
a huge fan of that guy.
He's I don't like hearing him talk by any means, but he quit Twitter because the backlash and the fan responses. You should have seen this. I was going through a lot of the tweets and the replies, and he not only stirred up a bunch of shit, but obviously it's Twitter.
Right.
So you have a bunch of fanboys backlashing and talking shit, and he's replying to them being like, oh yeah, well, that's why I'm the super rich and successful comic book artist, and you're just some fucking nerd sitting there reading my books.
Yeah.
And it's like,
you're just the reason that I have money, so what do you know? Yeah,
but you know what I'm saying? He's
people,
like the biggest crybaby bitch boy in the world.
It's just like when celebrities say something stupid and then people are like, oh yeah, because they're big on talking, but
right.
as soon as anybody says anything back,
right, absolutely,
they have to cower.
Well, not only that, and then somebody brought up the point. They're like, dude, you just did covers for DC. Like, you just did work for DC.
Yeah.
You're never going to get work from them again. So you better hope Marvel keeps you on their payroll, because you just lost the business connect. And he goes, you think I fucking care? You think I care about... He was just being an idiot. So he quit Twitter. He couldn't handle the backlash. Mm-hmm. So he goes, I'm going to be going over to the far superior Instagram, where it's not nearly as toxic. And we're like, you're being the toxic one, you fuck.
Yeah, no, like, whatever.
He's an idiot. I don't know, but...
Not a super fan of that guy. But hey, to each his own.
Let him talk, whatever. On an upswing, though... and this is something I've been wanting to talk about for sure. So, and you and me have already talked about it a little bit, but James Gunn is being rumored that he is going to take the quote-unquote Kevin Feige position at Warner Brothers DC, and he is going to bring the DCEU into the success that Marvel has basically found. And I gotta say, man, if there's anybody that I could see doing it and doing it well, it'd be James Gunn.
Yeah, I love it. Obviously, at this point, what they were trying to do, with the exception of Wonder Woman and Aquaman and Shazam, in my opinion, just wasn't working. So, yeah.
Well, and that's the idea. So we already know from whispers from executives at Warner Brothers that we're going to be seeing two timelines. And basically, that's the timeline we have with Aquaman and Wonder Woman and Shazam in their kind of arena. And then Matt Reeves is going to have the Batman, which, again, I still think is going to connect to the Joker movie. And it's going to be more of a year one-ish or prequel timeline that we're going to see consecutive movies coming from.
So do you think the Suicide Squad will be in the previous current timeline?
Since we have Harley Quinn in it, it's going to be in the current timeline.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought.
I don't think we can predate Harley Quinn back that far. You know what I mean?
I think James Gunn has enough imagination and experience and proven track record at this point that he can bring that fresh breath of life to the franchises and help them build a solid foundation for their universe.
What's great is that they're going to have those two timelines that the theory is and what the whispers are, because everything's rumors right now, but the whispers are that those two timelines are going to merge down the line. Like, they're going to connect together in this grand endgame style, holy fuck. And that's what James Gunn has in his brain, or that's what he's there to help with, because he's seen how a universe can be built, and he's seen how things can connect, and he's learned from a lot of really great movie makers and filmmakers around him to do something of this magnitude. So
yeah, that concept answered like a couple of my questions, because I was so curious. I'm like, all right, with Affleck gone, with Cavill, I guess, as much as I want him to stay, I've kind of accepted he's probably not going to be around. But I was
going to
wondering,
say, has that ever been finalized?
No,
that
we'll figure that more on that later.
We still don't know.
I was wondering, I was like, how are they going to keep Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa, and Zachary Levi?
Right.
And that makes sense. They're going to say, hey, look, we'll continue with what they're doing. We'll call it a separate timeline. And then, because I was like, how are they going to get integrated with the new direction? They have to, because they are the only success for the DCEU right now.
So no matter what they do, if they decide to keep Zachary Levi, you can keep. He has never intermingled with anyone else, except for technically Headless Superman at the end of Shazam. Spoiler alert. But if they choose to keep Aquaman and Wonder Woman, they absolutely have to address Superman and Batman down the line, as well as the Flash and Cyborg, who are no longer part of the DCEU.
Yeah, because they made it clear that all of the DCEU films currently are in the same universe and are essentially, very close together. Because you got to think Suicide Squad was directly after the death of Superman from BVS. Shazam, yes, obviously Superman. It's implied that it's Henry Cavill, so he's there. Of course, Aquaman is post-Justice League, and even in Wonder Woman, before and after her main story, she's interacting with Bruce Wayne, essentially. So they're all connected. They are all connected.
But what I think is that, of course, they're all connected because, we saw them all in a movie together.
Don't make me feel stupid.
I just mean in the sense that I personally, as much as I enjoyed Wonder Woman, which I did, and as much as I loved Aquaman, because I really loved Aquaman,
same.
I would rather they can get away with Shazam. I would rather at this point them reboot everything other than Shazam. Shazam you can keep because he hasn't technically been on screen with the rest of them.
So like reboot but keep Gal and Momoa?
No, I don't think they should.
They've built too good of a concept.
They built too good of a concept, but the universe that they're a part of has fucking gone away.
No, I know, but all I'm saying is they can't get rid of Momoa. It's not going to happen. And I don't think they can get rid of Gal either. They have to stay. I want them to stay.
Jason Momoa has expressed odd interest in wanting to play Wolverine for Marvel. And there's little whispers here and there. Now, Gal Gadot, what they decide to do with that, I don't know. But intrinsically, it makes more sense to get rid of them and reboot the whole universe because they've already fucked it. You cannot give me a new movie with Momoa and Gadot in it and then have new actors for the rest of everybody else and expect me to not be sucked right out of that movie.
Well, I don't agree with your opinion, so you're wrong.
Well, I'm just saying, at the end of the day, it's about being able to sit in a movie theater and meld into that movie and really kind of suspend disbelief for a minute. And it'd be much harder to do that because you guys fucked a universe and then you decided to give me
Well, then the whole concept that you explained about the rumors of two timelines merging would be irrelevant.
It's not.
Or you're saying your want is for them to just
They're not
reboot.
two different timelines. I mean two timelines as it's the same timeline. We're watching them from from the 90s, from when they're all young, when Batman's young, and then later in life.
Oh.
That's what I mean. I don't mean like two different like multiverses. I'm talking about we're getting early heroes. And then we're getting later heroes.
Gotcha.
And that's the two that are going to merge eventually, in the sense of you're gonna see all the connections and how that one great timeline kind of became a thing.
Look, man, I don't care. I just want Deathstroke, and that's all I want.
Oh, speaking of, and we're gonna kick right off the back of the DCEU rumors. 2 movies have been,
rumored.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck is the word?
Has it?
2 sources have pointed that 2 movies under the supervision of Warner Brothers and James Gunn have been sparked. At least they've expressed serious desire to do so as to where they're going to take Batman and what direction they're going to take Batman. And they have different movies planned for each of the Robins. Meaning that like Dick Grayson, Robin, he's going to be in the Teen Titans / Young Justice movie.
Right.
So they're going to give him, it's said to be much more on the Young Justice side, and it's supposed to apparently be called Young Justice League, which I think is a working title because that sounds awful. But it's going to be him and who else? Batgirl is supposed to be in it, and then it's not going to be like Teen Titans, kind of like Teen Titans Go. No, we're not getting that. it's going to be obviously very gritty and down to earth. And somebody said, but they have Titans on the look. Those shows are probably all going away,
Dude,
as sad as it is.
They had the Flash on the CW, and they had
and that's the thing. As I said, they were able to do it with the CW shows. They were able to do it, but as sad as it is, whatever's on the DC Universe app right now, it's probably not going to be there for much longer.
Well, just go ahead and give us Titan season 2 before we can everything.
I just want to see because we have so much built for season 2. I'm really excited.
I was thinking that too, and I loved what the article about the rumored Teen Titans Young Justice movie said.
Right.
It's talking about all this stuff, and it says, keep in mind, when we say they have interest and want to put it into development, that easily could mean that nothing beyond what we're saying right now could ever happen.
Right.
So, of course. But I think, my opinion, if they do, it's kind of Teen Titans, it's kind of Young Justice, I think that could be a great introduction of Deathstroke right there.
Oh, yeah,
just
for
like,
sure.
And of course they did in Teen Titans Go, but it's not like, that's the story. Deathstroke, his main goal typically is to fight the Titans. It just is what it is.
Well, and on the back of that, they also have expressed the same interest in, because again, they want to do them for the different Robins. I don't know if they're going to go all the way from Tim Drake to Damian and all that stuff, but they are very interested in exploring a Red Hood and the Outlaws movie.
Yeah, let's be honest, Dick and Jason, there's money to be made there.
Yeah, they should totally have movies there. It's honestly ridiculous to think that they shouldn't be having movies on the big screen. And we've talked about it before. The best way to put them out there is to give them Marvel-style end credit scenes intros, and then give them their own fucking movie. Let them be grown. Let them be adults. And then if we're gonna have a Robin in the DCEU, make a decision. Do you want Damian or do you want Tim? Where do we want this timeline to be? I'm okay with either. Just stop changing shit. Take what is already great from the comics, make an Arkham. You know what I don't understand? I don't understand how we have such great game developers and people who obviously know how to work CGI and write a story, right? And they can't put that work into a fucking movie. They clearly know how to put together a great Batman story for you to play in the Arkham games, but they can't put that in a movie? That would be amazing.
I'm sure you got to think video game world as opposed to we need 2 hours of filmed material. I'm sure the limitations there make it harder than we might think.
I'm sure it is, but I've also been close enough to where I see that writing-wise, and we've seen through the Snyder films that they have the ability to do much better effects and much better movement and choreography, that there's no reason you can't build an Arkham Origins style story, shorten it down a little bit, and film that shit.
Netflix can do that. They pump out great
That's what I'm saying.
Like Daredevil.
Doesn't make any sense.
But here's my want, because it's interesting when you had mentioned all the Robins.
Right.
My want would be, have there be a Nightwing, obviously Dick.
Yes.
Have there be Red Hood, obviously Jason.
Right.
Stop there. Don't even have a Robin.
Disagree. I'm
just thinking, I think it would be interesting to say those two exist. They were Robin. After Jason, I just think the concept of Robin in the movies, if they're going to try to go for the serious tone, which I love, I think that just wouldn't work. But I could be wrong. I'd love to be wrong. But...
So what I love in Hush, actually, that we're about to get into, he explained it perfectly. He said that Dick always saw it as like a mission, right? Dick always saw it. He was lighthearted, but he always saw that it was what we had to do.
Right.
Jason always saw it as this is a game. And that's probably what got him killed, because he saw being Robin as a game. Tim genuinely wanted to be the world's greatest detective. He wanted to surpass Batman and his ability to solve any mystery and to be the greatest detective. And he said, and honest to God, he can do it.
And Damian is the blood son.
Damian's the...
I always love when he said that to Dick in, what was it? It was Son of Batman. And he said, I'm the blood son. You're just basically saying you're trash. I'm the blood son.
But you know what I mean? Like, I think that when Jason and Dick are established as Nightwing and Red Hood, you have that air of seriousness. If anybody took being Robin seriously, it is Tim Drake. So I think having an older teenage Tim Drake in there.
I love the Robin dynamic in Titan Season 1, by the way, when they did Dick squaring off with, well, he wasn't squaring off, they were working together with
but they
Jason.
had that rivalry kind of idea in
it
their
was
heads.
Great.
Yeah,
like it was everything that I wanted from that
but
relationship.
To be honest, I don't want to see Jason Todd as a Robin for very long.
I don't want to see him as Robin at all. So here's the deal. You know that I love Red Hood, that's obvious, but I'm a huge fan. I know a lot of people aren't, but I was a huge fan of the whole New 52 Red Hood and the Outlaws. it's just funny. Like, it's a funny kind of quirky thing. Like, you got Red Hood, who's typically super serious.
See, and you know that I was reading most of that, and I
Yeah.
didn't like it for that reason.
Well, and that's fine. I get it. But myself, I'm a big fan of it, and I thought it was interesting because they said the Red Hood movie that they're interested in doing would be based off of Red
right,
Hood and
and
Outlaws
it would have Roy Harper as Arsenal and Starfire.
which is cool. I love it.
That'd be
But
super
I
cool.
think it would be a huge disservice to skip over Under the Red Hood, like the story arc.
I agree. Honestly, if we were gonna get we talked about it, we did this whole thing. I think there's an easy way to bring Under the Red Hood
Yeah.
as a story arc into a movie, and it would be just like you said, such a disservice.
And I'm not trying to be biased because I love it. It's like, look, people deserve to see this. Like, people who don't know the story, things like that. I mean, you got to think of like just more casual viewers and stuff. They know who Batman is. Jason Todd could go up there in his red little helmet and they'd be like, who the hell is Red Hood?
Right.
I want people to see this story. It's too good to skip.
I agree. I think that to a casual or a non-Batman fan, somebody who would go see the movies but does not read comics,
Right.
they don't know who Jason Todd is.
They would get to experience it for the first time. And
in a cinematic
I
environment.
envy them for that.
Yes,
Like, if I got to see it for the
if
first
it's
time
done
in
well.
I'm just saying, if I got to see it for the first time in film, well, actually, live action. Film,
Right, live action. Yeah.
That would be.
That's what I mean, in a cinematic environment where you're really...
Because we talked about a hypothetical Batman trilogy where this could just be amazing, like including Under the Red Hood, Nightwing's transition, things like that.
And don't forget, folks, just while we're on the subject, in 2 weeks, we are doing the Bat in the Hat Writes, the DCEU, where me, Matt, and a special guest are going to come up with our best. We're going to look at the movies that are coming up or what we think should come up, and we are going to write our best what we think the DCEU should go in what direction. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to have a lot of good point of views to kind of see where, if we could write these movies or if we could write the future, what would the DCU look like? And we're going to have a guest on the show, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you tune in for that.
I'm really interested to hear our listeners' ideas as well too. Like, I really want to get like their input.
yeah.
Like, hey, what ideas? Like, what would you like to see if you had control? What would you do?
Yeah,
with
make
the
sure you guys
DCU?
get on Facebook and get on the Bat in the Hat podcast Facebook page and tell us. We're going to set up the page and maybe even a poll or two we'll put out there. But we want to hear from you guys what your best ideas are, because we guarantee they'll be worse than ours, because we're just so much better than you.
We are just
But
top tier.
We are so top tier.
No, what kills me is like we talk about all the time. You and I have our favorite storylines, favorite characters.
Right.
Everybody else is different, and that's so fascinating because they'll say, "Hey, like I want Blue Beetle or something." I'm like, "Oh, wow, that'd be great."
Exactly. Well, and that's what you and me, because I was talking to a fan on the Facebook page today, and I said, he was saying, oh gosh, I apologize because I don't remember. He had an idea that I thought was pretty good, but I had heard it before, and it was more along the lines of what they're already planning to do. And I said, look, I'm just holding out for a Booster Gold Blue Beetle movie, because I think that would be a great introduction to those characters.
Oh, yeah.
You can set it in a different timeline because fucking Booster Gold. You can do whatever you want with that. That can be a very cool...
I could see that just being a really fun movie too.
A
That
really
character,
fun...
that
Oh,
could
it would
just
have to be a really fun
that'd be
movie.
Great.
And that's one thing that I would love to see. But
I like that our listeners seem as indecisive as you and I are about Robert Pattinson as well. I know you don't like it because I had to jump in there and be like, "Yo, we don't all like this."
look, and again, it's one of those things where I feel very passionate that people are jumping the gun on this. But the only thing that's going to tell is when the movie comes
Yeah,
out.
let's talk in 2 years.
Yeah, time will tell. We'll see the movie. I could be fucking wrong. He could make a terrible movie, but if he makes an amazing Batman and they make an amazing Batman movie, you're all gonna lick my nuts.
No, I will be. Look, I'm still not happy with it, but I will always closet kind of be pulling for him. As a fan, I want him to do great. I want the movie to be awesome. I still don't really want him to play the part, but whatever.
I've seen too much fan art where he looks amazing. I know it's just fan art, and people like Boss Logic have a really good talent with doing that.
I actually saw a trailer for a movie because everybody, even you included, were like, well, watch all of his other roles. He's incredible. And I'm like, all right, whatever. So there's this movie that he recently did where like they're banging in space trying to procreate or whatever, and he looks like a crackhead. And it made me dislike him as the pick even more. because he has a strange look.
Mm-hmm.
He really does. So I don't like it. I don't like it.
Again, we'll just see what happens. But the I'm excited to hear people's ideas, and I'm excited to hear your ideas. Me and Matt are not going to discuss anything before this episode. We're going to come in completely fresh, and we're going to set the rules next week. So on our next week, which is the Arkhamverse number 2, where we talk about
to say I can't wait to do Arkhamverse.
Yeah, we're going to do Arkham City next week. We'll lay down the guidelines of what it's actually going to look like and where we're going to take it from, and then we'll go from there. But
and guys, don't worry, we're going to have Marvel themed episodes as well coming up, because we are getting a little heavy with DC, which if you don't like it, I don't really care too much.
I was going to say, I love Marvel, don't get me wrong.
I was going to say, but sometimes we do get on that roll where there's so much good from DC where I'm like, there's so much good from Marvel.
It's just like we were talking about it at the shop, and we were talking about it at Mythical Mountain right here on San Jose Boulevard in Jacksonville, Florida.
I think we talk about it like so much because Marvel just has killed it with everything in the movies.
Well,
for so
Marvel's
long.
killed it in the movies, but to be honest, what we were talking about at Mythical Mountain was, when it comes to the characters, I just don't fucking care about them nearly as much as I care about. And that's, dude, to each his own. That's totally a biased opinion. But it's harder for me to want to sit down and talk about. The only ones I want to sit down and talk about are Spider-Man and Venom and Carnage and the Punisher. Like, those are my favorite.
That's actually a great point, because anytime I ever have a conversation about comic book characters, it's always DC.
Yeah.
I never go to Marvel.
And
unless it is Venom or Carnage.
And it's not about me thinking that one's better than the other. To me, DC is better. That's to me.
Yeah.
But there's no proof or statistical data. If anything, data shows us that Marvel's better because they outsell them in comics and they outsell them in, they make better movies, which again is different through different studios. But, I just don't care about their characters as much. I just don't. But on that topic of outselling, DC has actually outsold Marvel for the last 2 months in a row in comic books, and that's thanks to the release of Deceased by Tom Taylor, which is an amazing take on. Everybody kind of rolled their eyes and they're like, "Oh, you're gonna give us a zombie apocalypse story for holy fuck? Is it brutal and it's awesome?"
Everybody loves zombies.
It's very fresh. It's a tech. So the idea is that it's a virus that spreads through technology. So it hits the world at an instant. And I didn't think it'd be as brutal. I'm not going to spoil anything. I think you guys should definitely go pick up copies because 2 issues are out so far. But man, are they crazy. And DC also released Last Night on Earth, which is Snyder and Capullo's final. It's like the end of their timeline, or what they picture their timeline to be. This is how the world ends, or how their DC journey ends. So it's very cool. Very good shit. I've already read both of them, and I love them so much. And it's easy to see why DC has outsold Marvel. But you know what's interesting is Birds of Prey is being made right now. We've seen a lot of set photos. We've seen a lot of stuff going on. They have the lowest budget of any DCEU movie so far at only $75 million.
And watch, it'll probably be the best one.
I was going to say, that means nothing to the quality. That just means that we're going to have mostly practical effects and very little CG and very little, that stuff that 2 mouse clicks cost you $500,000.
Well, what's funny too is everybody has already decided, they're like, it's going to suck. I don't care. I don't want to see it. Why are they doing this? Blah, blah, blah. So here's the deal. If everybody's already set in stone in that, and that movie turns out to be great, that's going to turn out to be a huge advantage, because everybody's going to be like, holy crap.
Yeah.
I was wrong. And it's got Ewan McGregor.
And it's the stuff that's going to make Warner Brothers start to really rethink how they're making their movies.
Yeah. I'm intrigued. Like, of course.
I'm super into it. Are you kidding me?
Yes, of course. I do. I love Black Mask, too, as a villain.
I just don't like that the one picture we saw where it kind of showed Black Mask. It was cut off right below the nose, so he looks like the Green Hornet.
Well, let's just wait and see, though.
I know. I'm just saying that's the only image I've seen so far.
I can't.
And he looks like the Green Hornet.
I can't fully imagine that they'll go through that whole film and him not wear a full skull mask. Now, it's always scary when a villain is cast by a big actor like that.
Right.
Because I thought the same thing with Deadpool. I'm like, they're going to find ways for Deadpool to never have his mask on, because it's Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, that was not the case.
And I was surprised, because especially in the sequel, he was basically except for a few parts, he was in his suit a lot.
Yeah.
But Ewan McGregor is a fantastic actor. the three girls.
But they did do
three
that
ladies
with
that are playing
Will Smith when he was Deadshot.
I wanted him to wear his mask.
I wanted
a
that
lot
mask.
more.
That mask looked amazing.
Yeah, they did.
And they were
actually,
like, he wore it for one scene, kind of.
for the stuff that I didn't like about his suit in that movie, I did really dig his mask because there's comic book iterations that look just like that.
Right. Yeah.
Except for the fact that I believe his reticle was on the wrong eye, based on how he has it in
I don't know.
the comics. Anyways, but yeah, the mask was great. But like you said, maybe 1-2 scenes for just a second, and then he finds a reason to take it off.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad.
I didn't like that at all, and I hope that's not the case. But the other day, I didn't write this down, but the other day, what was weird? It was like 2 days ago, so maybe Thursday. What day is today? It's Sunday. So
Today is the day of our fathers.
It is Father's Day at the time of recording. But no, it was Thursday, I believe, so 3 days ago, and I just got this news blip that came up and said, "Hey, Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 was supposed to premiere in theaters today," and I was like, "What?" And I didn't realize that was, so I opened it up and it was like, hey, I know you've all forgotten about this, but, and then I saw, and there was a bunch of articles about it. So I was like, holy shit.
Yeah,
is that not weird just to think that?
It was intriguing too. Like if those truly were his ideas for going forward, like there's some really good stuff.
The stuff that Kevin Smith kind of outlined when he got to talk with all those,
because Snyder apparently was bringing in Apocalypse, which was obvious. But there was like a key scene that keeps coming up that they said was something he was going to do, where Apocalypse like boom tubes straight into the Batcave, and he was supposed to, I think he was supposed to kill like a main character right there. Like he was supposed to just show up in the Batcave and just murk the shit out of somebody.
I don't know, but
it would have been cool. But I'm going to be honest, the longer time goes by, the less that I like Justice League, the movie. I tried to tell myself that I liked it when it came out.
Right.
And I don't.
I think it's the same for me, to be honest. Every time I watch it, I even get more angry when I watch BVS, just because.
BVS I can live with.
I really thought BVS was great until I started, because we were on that talk about, Batman killing. And I stood up for the fact that, look, this is an old, grizzled Batman who's just done, and he's pissed off, and Jason Todd has been killed, and, we got all that subtext, so I get that. That being said, I don't think that there's ever an iteration of Batman that straight up murders the way that he did in that movie. He may let criminals die. He may not try to save everyone and let their own stupidity kill them. But when he was in that amazing fight choreography, by the way, when he was in that warehouse fight scene and he grappled that big crate and threw it against the guy and exploded his head into the wall, that's
only in the unrated version, by the way.
I know, but to me, I was like, all right, that's straight up murder. That's not a Batman thing.
No, the wall killed the guy.
The wall did kill the guy.
He just hit him with he hit him with a crate, which none of that obeyed the laws of physics at all.
It doesn't matter. I don't care about that. We don't need laws of physics.
Dude, I love when the guy's hanging upside down Predator style and he roundhouse kicks him into the hall, into that other dude, and then the grenade goes off, and then he never misses a beat. Like when the grenade goes off in the back.
That doesn't bother me. That
was awesome.
That to me was like the stupidity of the people trying to kill him got themselves killed.
He did one move I always wondered about in that choreography, where he straight up stuck somebody with his gauntlet.
Yeah,
like he stabbed him with the gauntlet in his neck or something.
That's what I'm saying.
Shoulder. And I'm like, okay, they have never really addressed that in print or any of the movies. I'm like, if he's got the gauntlet,
but that's the thing. So that's one of the things I did like about the Nolan films, is just that it was like he was sliding down the ice and he used them to
they made it like real
himself.
practical.
And I was like, fuck, we got utility out of those things. Like,
I love too when he said, when Liam Neeson told him, he said, "This is all familiar. Have you not learned anything new?" And he snaps his sword with the gauntlets.
I was just thinking that
badass.
Too. The anyways,
how about this?
That was my thing. So the more I watch BVS, even, which is still a good movie other than those two scenes, but
think of it this way, I bet you'll like it more. It's a one-off.
No, yeah, I mean, I know. I think, I don't know. Maybe I'm
just sad that they set up Jason Todd. Nothing came from it.
Yeah, but he was holding Tim Drake's staff, whatever.
Is that the staff that he used to make the kryptonite spear?
Oh, I don't know, actually.
I think it is. But they never really directly
they didn't flesh that out.
What else you got?
Swamp Thing. has officially been canceled.
That's sad, man.
So sad.
The reviews are all good.
Dude,
all good.
Have you watched the first couple episodes?
Yeah.
They're great.
Dude, it's fantastic.
It's
Why
amazing
cancel?
so
There's
far.
so much stuff you should have canceled years ago.
I'm
You're telling me
enjoying-
The Flash is going to get 100 years of seasons,
Yes.
but Swamp Thing gets canceled?
I'm enjoying Swamp Thing so much in these first 3 episodes, so incredibly much so far, that I get more and more angry. And not only was Swamp Thing canceled, but it was said by fucking DC. Oh, it was, I don't remember who, it wasn't DC themselves. It was somebody who was working on the show or somebody who was one of the producers, and they said, well, we were going to do 3 seasons of Swamp Thing that was going to lead into Justice League Dark. And we were going to have a live action, we were going to get Zatanna, we were going to get hopefully Bobo, we were going to get
Constantine.
all, the great parts. And obviously the show, spoiler alert, has introduced the guy who's the Blue Devil,
Right.
who eventually will become the Blue Devil. And we had everything set the fuck up. And I'm so upset. I'm so upset about it.
And take all that aside, it's just a great show. Like, they made it so well. It's good. It's
But
good writing. It's
That's
good
the part
visuals.
of DC that I've been wanting to get into was the magic side. He is the defender of the green. I wanted them to introduce the red. I wanted them to introduce all the magical elements that would open up that side, because we can keep that shit pretty separate from the rest of DC for a while and just let me enjoy my Justice League Dark shit. I like the magic side. It's cool.
I'm subscribing to that whole theory that DC Universe is probably going to get the plug.
Oh,
pulled,
yeah.
100%. And that's so Time Warner Brothers can do their own
Well,
platform.
you know that I have the trade paperback of Hush, but I was reading it on my phone just because for certain situations, it's honestly just easier just to use the scroll that they have. And I got to a certain point where now I can't even open the fucking app anymore. It keeps crashing on me.
there's just gonna be an article come out one day that says, "Oh, DC Universe." has been
DC Universe
pulled.
is over.
But if they do one big streaming platform for WB and they still put out content like they were gonna do for this, then it's okay.
I will be okay with it if they give me my library of comic books. That was my favorite thing. Honestly, I can download or pirate any of these movies even more than they offer, because there's a lot of stuff they still don't offer on the DC Universe app in that area. But I was just excited that I had this full library of DC history. I've been reading Crisis on Infinite Earths again. I've been reading Flash the Rebirth to try to catch up to all that, because I just came in at the year 1 stuff. And I like reading, catching up to this shit. And if that's what they can give me on a subscription basis. But again, Comixology apparently just got the rights to DC.
Yep.
The problem is that when they do stuff like with Comixology, they don't have a full library. You can't find everything you want. DC Universe app has everything, and it makes me happy.
Yeah, and I'm just sad because like that's your main thing about the app. For me, it was their originals and then being able to watch all the animated films at any time.
Well, no, and I would
And
love.
I'm
I still
sad about
want
that.
all of that, but
No, I know. I'm just saying, but your big thing
Yeah,
was the comics, which is a huge thing.
yeah.
But for me, having the whole library of the animated films on the ready, and then I'm telling you, man, Titans just I never expected it to be that good, at least
Right.
to me. And I'm just sad because I just hope they give us at least a season 2. I'm scared that they're
Yeah,
gonna be
I
like,
think
we're not gonna do it.
I think we'll get season 2. They just had the promo for the second half of the Young Justice season to come out, so that's good. At least I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, they're killing it in that too. They always have
Yeah.
with the animated series and movies, and they still are.
Oh, speaking of animated series, did you see that the creators of the X-Men animated series from the 90s are trying to bring that back?
Yep.
So
You know, if they do, you mean like continuation, new episodes?
So that's what I think that they're trying to do.
It's
But
not gonna be as
here's
good.
the thing. Here's the thing about that. Everything about that show is so outdated now that it would make no sense.
Yeah.
Was that the one where Wolverine had the Australian accent?
I don't
you remember?
Think so. I don't think he did.
Do you remember the one that I'm talking about though? Where
No,
he was
'cause in
fucking
the main
Australian?
one, he just had the "Hey, bub."
Yeah, I don't remember, but there was one where he had an Australian accent, and I always hated it. But everything about that show is stuck. It's completely 90s. Then they had, in my childhood, which that is still definitely a big part of my childhood, but a little later, they had in the early 2000s like X-Men. I don't remember what it was called, but they were in high school, and it was really a neat show. And
First Class.
no, but you remember what I'm talking about? Like
No.
Nightcrawler and them were in high school, and it was actually a really good show. But that's the kind of thing that I could see them bringing it into.
I think it'd be funny if they brought it back and they kept it exactly the same. Still in the 90s.
I think it'd be really great if they used the same animation style too.
Yeah.
If they just made
That's
it
why
so
I'm saying
90s.
it won't be as good because it's just not the same.
Let's talk about how the Marvel's Avengers game premiered at E3 and it looks fucking terrible. What's weird is the gameplay looks fine, but it looks graphics-wise, the internet is abuzz. They're really upset.
I don't know why anyone's like surprised. Have y'all never played a Square Enix game before?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
The graphics look exactly the same as every other.
Yeah, but isn't Square Enix famous for doing the Final Fantasy games?
Yeah, and those graphics look just like a Final Fantasy game.
Disagree, because I remember when like 14 or 15, whichever the last one was, came out, it looked gorgeous. Now, that being said, it's set in a fantasy world where I think they have a little more to mess around with.
They're trying to base this one, at least in reality.
Yeah, they have a little more to mess around with, like color schemes and tones and whatnot. But this one, everybody said that they made Black Widow look very, like, her face is very brickish. Which
her face sucks, and everybody hates Captain America's shoulder pads. They won't shut up about that.
Oh, I didn't even think about the shoulder pads.
So guess what?
What?
Tony Stark, Nolan North, got him.
Yeah, but...
Bruce Banner, wait for it, Troy Baker.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say Troy Baker.
Of course you did.
But they're using the voice cast from the Avengers Assemble TV show.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's great. No, good for them.
It's funny because everybody kept saying, they didn't even show us gameplay. I'm like, watch the trailer.
They did.
It's cinematic gameplay, dude. Like,
yeah.
That's half of its gameplay.
It's going to be story-based. So they're going to do it story-based where it's not open world, obviously. It's going to be navigated through the needs, and you're going to play as whatever hero you need to play
it's like
as.
Sandbox or linear style.
Yeah, kind of at the time. So,
which is cool.
Which I'm okay with. I like story-based games.
I'm still going to get it.
But I think people are upset because when you have games out there that are like Arkham Knight or any of the Arkham games that look so great for what they are, and then you premiere us an Avengers game after 10 years of amazing Avengers movies and shit, and then you give us this piece of crap that they've been working on for 6 years. Somebody wrote on Twitter, they were like, this should be completely unacceptable for today's standard of video games and superhero video games. And I hate to say it because I'm not a snob with this stuff. I agree. It looked bad. It looked bad in the sense of I'm not gonna buy it.
I don't know. I didn't take it that way, honestly. Everybody freaked out, and I was like, dude, I mean, it is what it is. Just wait for the game to come out.
Well, and so I'm hoping that there's still work to be done, but it's little stuff like textures and the way that
that is probably pre-alpha footage. If you know about alpha betas, what is the word I'm looking for? Anyways, it's nowhere near done.
Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta,
No,
Echo.
I'm thinking of like status of production, and I can't think.
I don't know. I know alpha and beta. I know beta testing.
I'm sure it's nowhere near
Sigma
complete.
Comes in.
But yes, you're right. Square Enix, one of their biggest things is their cinematics. Mm-hmm. So if that's that's probably what it's going to look like.
And some of it looked really good, but I'm just saying that rendering wise, the design and the textures, it didn't look good at all.
Yeah, people were freaking out about the actual cinematic parts and how they looked, but if you watch the gameplay parts, that looked incredible.
What I will applaud them for is not making the Avengers look like the actors.
Yeah, I love that.
And not making the actors come back and do voices.
You know what's funny? I'll be 100% honest with everybody and myself. If you don't know by now, Nolan North, a.k.a. the best voice actor ever to live, in my opinion.
Okay, calm down.
No, I love Nolan North and Troy Baker.
He's not Mark Hamill.
I don't like Nolan North as Tony Stark. I don't.
Really?
Yeah, I don't. I get it, and it's gonna be awesome because Nolan North is great, and he's gonna be funny. He's gonna be he's perfect to play Tony Stark.
I think again, especially we just had Spider-Man PS4 came out, and that game looks fucking great.
It was fun too.
You know what I mean? Ugh.
I'm curious to see because they said the roster is gonna be pretty big.
Yeah,
and I'm like, well, I'm really curious to see how it all shakes out. So I'm excited for it to come out, and I'm sure they'll. One thing I'll applaud them for is they said we're not changing anything.
Really?
Because people are crying and moaning and groaning. And like, we hear you, but we're not changing it. So I like that they put their stance down.
But why do you applaud? So just out of curiosity, why do you applaud them for that?
Because they said, this is what we created, and we're not going to, you cried, and we're not going to just go in and change everything we've worked years on just so we can appease you.
Let me tell you why I disagree with that. And just honestly, because that's a really interesting way that you brought that up. Because I get where you're coming from. But it's like the Sonic the Hedgehog stuff. Okay, personally, in my opinion,
that's completely different.
Well, is it really though? Because this is where I'm coming from. You made a product that you're trying to sell, and people are coming out, and you displayed that product, and people are coming out and saying we don't like this, And for you to come out and say, well, tough shit, that's what we're giving you. Okay, then expect your sales to fucking blow.
Well, you got to think too. They know more than we do. Maybe that. Then they only showed one.
They know more than we do, but as consumers, we know what the end result can be.
Hang on a second.
You know what I mean?
They only showed one piece in time in that game. It's just one section of time, right?
Right.
And you got to think there's a lot of time left before it comes out, obviously. So they're going to show us more. They're probably thinking, "Don't worry, we got you." And people have done that in the past.
No,
where people are freaking out. They're like, "We hate
very
it." And they're
true.
like, "Hey, man,
I agree. I'm just
you."
saying to come out and blatantly be like tough shit.
They didn't say it like that though. They were just like, "We're not gonna do redesigns. That's not feasible for us."
Then they better hope that they have more to show us that's going to impress us. Because if that's the case, then you spent 5 years working on a shit product that people don't like. Then okay, you're going to have to deal with your terrible sales.
I say let's just wait as time goes, and I bet you it's going to take care of itself.
That's fair enough. I mean, I'm still going to I really want to play it is what I want to do. I don't want to buy it, but I want to play it.
That's weird. You were just saying how shitty it all was, right? But here we are after all of that, and you said, I just really want to play it. I guarantee you everybody...
Do not get my words twisted.
No, I'm not. I'm telling you what you said.
Do not get my words twisted. What I'm saying is that it looks awful, and they should update the look. They should update the textures and the rendering because it looks like shit.
And then what did you say?
The
just at the very end?
The gameplay could be amazing, and that's what I'm interested in finding out.
So again,
that doesn't mean I'm going to be happy. Even if I love the gameplay, no. Even if I love the gameplay, if I think it looks like shit or it's enough to bother me, I won't fucking buy the game.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
and you'll be like, "Can I borrow your Avengers?"
Enough people will not buy the game that they'll be like, well, we fucked up.
We'll see.
You know what I mean?
We'll see.
And that's how the business goes. You have to make a quality product.
Remember, you were just ranting and raving about Spider-Man PS4?
Right.
I remember when they showed the first of anything about it, people did the same shit. They said, he looks terrible. What's that white spider emblem? This looks like garbage. It's going to suck.
I really like
and then
his
guess
costume.
what? It was one of the best games ever made.
Ever?
Yeah.
I don't think you've played BioShock, my friend.
Oh, my God.
It's such a delight. Oh, hey, speaking of the Avengers, we talked about this a little bit. The Tony Stark's cabin, that he had, is available to rent as an Airbnb.
Too many memories.
Isn't that crazy?
Too many memories.
Somebody said you're going to go there and just, like, cry your eyes out while watching the Avengers movie and eating cheeseburgers.
Yep.
Like, I thought that was so funny.
Too many memories.
No, it's true. It's cool. I don't remember. I should have written down how much that they were renting it for, but it's available, so you guys look it up. Tom King. The last thing I want to talk about is Tom King's Batman and Catwoman is going to debut for the very first time in comic book form, the Phantasm from Batman the Animated Series Mask of the Phantasm into comic books.
Did we not talk about this?
We haven't talked about this on the show yet.
Are you sure?
I'm absolutely positive.
Oh, we just went off about it.
We've talked about it a lot ourselves.
Oh, okay. Well, here I'm super excited.
You're really excited.
Yes.
I'm very excited. I think that, so as many of you know, Tom King's run on Batman on the main title is going to come to an end. They wanted to join Batman back with the main continuity in the comics with the rest of DC and the Justice League and what's going on. So they are giving him his own title to continue his story and end it where it was supposed to end. He was going to do 100 issues plus 3 annuals. So they're going to end it at 85, and then they already had the annuals done, so they're going to end it at 85, and then he's going to take Batman/Catwoman to the end, which is like 15 issues. So that's awesome. And he teased us on Twitter, but that just said January 2020 with a big photo of Batman and Catwoman reflecting out of the blade of the Phantasm.
I just remembered why I thought that we had already done this, because technically we did. We were doing footage tests.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So I was like, I remember speaking to an audience.
That's true. Fuck. So we've been messing around again. We're trying to come to YouTube and do our stuff. We don't know what the fuck we're doing, though. So we're doing a lot of like testing and sound checks and footage tests and lighting and all that bullshit.
So I'll say what I said then, which I thought I had already said to all of you. But so my top 4... with Batman being its own thing, of course. Deathstroke, Red Hood, the Phantasm, and Venom. So this is a big deal for me. I think Batman Mask of the Phantasm is my favorite DC animated movie of all time. Don't think that will ever change. Andrea Beaumont / the Phantasm should have been used in the Rocksteady games. I'm still mad about them for that. And probably one of the best characters ever made. So super stoked.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I think that it's cool. I love when they take something that we already have a lot of nostalgia for, or a lot of like reverence for, and they're like, "Hey, why the fuck have we not used this before? Let's do it."
I like the interesting conversation you and I had though. Is it still Andrea Beaumont?
Yeah,
or
so
is somebody just wearing the guise of the Phantasm?
if you guys have been reading the Detective Comics run that's been going on, they introduced just recently the Arkham Knight into comic book continuity, and it was not Jason. Arkham Knight clearly came from the game Batman Arkham Knight, and it didn't come, or in the game it ended up being Jason Todd, the Red Hood. Big spoiler alert. But they couldn't do that because in the comic books, Jason Todd's who he was,
already
and
exists.
already has like a lot of established shit. So they switched it up, and I'm not going to spoil who it is because we're still in the throes of that in the books for Detective Comics. But pick it up; it's a really, really great storyline that they're doing right now.
I'm so glad they did that because the Arkham Knight as a character is so cool.
But that being said, Andrea
awesome.
Beaumont doesn't have a place in the comic book world, so they could bring her in.
Yeah, I mean, and her backstory is easy if they went the same way as they did in the movie.
I think the difference is it
old
would
love
be
interest.
like really tough to have her come in this late in Batman continuity, like as who she was. You know what I mean? Because you have like this whole history and world of Batman that's come from years and years and years and years of shit.
And if you're listening, you don't know who this is. Andrea Beaumont, let's just put it simply, she was just like an ex-love interest of Bruce Wayne.
Right.
From when he was really,
So,
really
yeah,
young.
I guess they could do it that way. But
Yeah,
I think
just retcon her. It's really easy.
I think that knowing Tom King, he's going to throw a spin in there somewhere.
I think it's 50-50 that it'll
Yeah.
be somebody new. So
I
I'm
agree.
open to it. But, here's hoping.
But that's pretty much it, man. I mean, that was a lot of shit to go over, so I'm glad we got to go over the news. But let's go ahead and talk about Batman Hush, man. I'm really excited to talk about this. This book, for those of you who don't know Batman Hush is basically, it was 12 issues between 600 and something and 600 and something of the back when Batman was a long string of continuity. And back then, it would change artists and writers like every 10 or so issues, sometimes every couple of issues. And right after Batman Hush, there was this time where the artist who I absolutely hate and I want to find them and kill them, they drew him with the really long, like 6-foot pointy ears and shit. Do you remember that?
You hate the long ears.
I hate it. So, no, this is not even just like long ears. Like, they literally were probably 2 feet off of his head. It was crazy. But right after that mess of awfulness, they introduced Jason Todd in Under the Red Hood. So, well, they introduced the Red Hood, Jason Todd. But Batman Hush is basically a story where over the course of a couple of weeks, Batman seems to be encountering his rogues, like almost his entire rogues gallery, in just the most interesting and ridiculous ways, and not understanding, why they're all upticking, why this major uptick of crime or uptick of mystery is happening now. And he's trying to figure out what's going on. And in the shadows, in the background, you see this puppet master, a man in a trench coat wrapped in Band-Aids. He has his face wrapped in bandages. And, he's kind of pulling all these strings. Meanwhile, you're focusing on the relationship between Batman and Selina Kyle. And kind of getting to know, like I was saying earlier, it's kind of getting to know the relationships between Batman and the rest of his family. Matt, what do you think of this story?
Well, what I think is we should do an ad read.
An ad read?
An ad read!
An ad read!
Ad read.
Hey everybody, what's going on? Me and Matt really do hope that you love the Bat in the Hat podcast, but did you know that you can actually get paid just for listening to this podcast? I know it sounds insane, but it's true. We just discovered this free new app called Podcoin, and it literally pays you to listen to podcasts. Here's how it works. You listen to podcasts and you earn Podcoin while you listen. Then you turn that Podcoin in for gift cards at places like Amazon or Starbucks. Or if you're a good human being, you could even donate that Podcoin to charity. The more you listen, the more you earn.
So here's what you do. Download the app right now on iPhone or Android, and I have a special code just for you. Simply use our code BATINTHEHAT, and you'll get 300 Podcoin. Podcoins? Podcoin. Just for signing up. And if you listen to enough of us on there, you can get a cappuccino at Starbucks or maybe even an Amazon gift card on us. So go ahead. Go listen to this podcast or virtually any podcast on Podcoin. Sign up with code BATINTHEHAT. I swear, it's going to change the way you listen to your podcast forever.
Wow, what an amazing ad read that was. I really think that we have outdone ourselves once again.
I just feel better about it every time.
Every single
and
time.
It just moves my heart a little bit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and my wiener.
So you were asking.
Yeah. What do you think about Batman Hush, man? How do you like the story?
Story's great. As a Batman fan and a fan of just all of the characters that come with Batman, this story is incredible because, I mean, you get so many people in one book. Like you
Right.
said, whether they're a part of the Bat family, whether they're from the Rogues Gallery, you get a brand new villain that's just fantastic. And the way that it all works out, like you said, it's almost like a Riddler-esque, like the villain in this story is like pulling the strings. What's wrong?
Huh?
What? You okay?
I just had a thought.
Oh, well, he's like Riddler-esque in the sense that he's manipulating, pulling the strings, guy in the chair type vibe.
Yeah.
You are freaking me out. What is wrong? Just say what you need to say.
So,
John Mayer.
I can't say what
I
I need to say because it's the end. But let's start from the beginning, shall we? It comes in with a bang. So immediately you get Batman like on the move. He's looking for a little boy who was taken hostage by Killer Croc. And I always find it interesting because Killer Croc has all these like armed gunmen as his what do they call them? What do they call
Henchmen?
them? Henchmen. Thank you. So he had all these armed gunmen, and Batman's kind of methodically taking you through how he's going to take them down, which is always a really cool. It's like the Sherlock Holmes scenes where he's explaining every strike, or it's just really taking you through the mind of Batman, which is really cool. And he's kind of going through what he needs to do, and he's keeping himself on a time limit. So he saves the boy, gets through all these henchmen, and when he comes out and Croc drops on him, he goes, "Damn, I was off by 13 seconds." And it just makes you be like, fucking Batman, man. But so you get Croc right off the bat. The FBI's there trying to, of course, this kid is like the son of a billionaire, and
Where's the boy?
Batman's talking about he would have killed the boy as soon as he got the ransom money. Everybody wanted to pay it except me. Really, really great Batman shit. It's just really great example of Batman writing, and of course Jim Lee's art through this. You're not going to hear me shut up about the art through this entire story because he
about the art.
is amazing. Everything is really great.
Yeah,
but
so Batman's hauling ass, right? Like he's grappling around, running.
well,
doing
he takes
Batman things.
so he takes the suitcase or the briefcase with the ransom money away from Croc, and who takes it? All of a sudden, it's gone, and the FBI is like, what are you going to do? And he goes, I'm going to go chase the chick who just stole the fucking money.
Right.
And so it's Catwoman. He goes off, and they're kind of grappling. He's trying to chase Catwoman when all of a sudden,
Spider-Man
comes in. No, but something cuts right through Batman's line, and he
Not much can
drops.
cut his lines, as we know. Not much can
yeah.
cut his lines.
That takes training, timing.
Yeah.
The,
You know many blades are going to
he
cut my
cut
lines?
the line before it went taut. What was I saying? Oh, fuck. Anyway, so he drops, and what's really great is he's still analyzing everything as he drops.
He's like, I'm about to get...
And he sees the gargoyle, and he goes, my shoulder's about to break. And he grabs the gargoyle, and his shoulder rips right out of its socket.
Yep.
And the gargoyle crumbles. He falls right dead smack into Crime Alley.
Yeah.
And
He gets hurt
beaten
bad.
to shit.
This is not like a, fairy tale. He fell this far, and he's okay. He's going to get up and keep chasing. Like, he got messed up.
No, like he's about dead.
Yeah.
Is where he is. And it's really great grounding because it makes you, the opening of this book being so quick into him almost dying,
Right.
is it puts that mortality into Batman. It makes you be like, oh shit, like he's really messed up, and how is this going to affect him going forward? So, he's in Crime Alley, and the kind of the homeless and the thugs and the bad people, they're coming around being like, oh, we should kill him. Like, Batman's on the ground. He put me in jail once, let's kill him. So they walk up, and as soon as one guy reaches for the cowl, it sprays him with like pepper spray or like some kind of dust, right? And so all of a sudden he can't see, and the next guy comes up and reaches, and he gets electrocuted, and it's really funny. So Oracle is screaming into the microphone, just being like, Batman, are you there? Somebody, is there anybody in the area? Batman's down, we need a rescue. And who shows up? None other than Huntress, which back in this time, like, was a big character. She was
Right.
she was a big deal as part of the Bat family. She's not really shown that much anymore, and I don't know if it had to do with the dilutedness of how she, like, her big story was that on Earth 2 or one of the other Earths, she was actually the child of Batman and Catwoman, or, you know, like a bunch of stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So she's not really shown as much anymore. But she comes to help him out and pick him up and save him. And it's just like really kind of quick going through these scenes. You're not really spending a whole lot of time. So she saves him. She's kind of showing her mettle and getting the shit kicked out of her, but not going down. And it's a really great scene. And Oracle has the Batmobile come by remote and is like, put him in the car. It'll take him back. So she throws him in the car. Nobody trusts Huntress. So it zooms away. Oracle's kind of being a bitch and takes Batman to the cave. Alfred's back at the cave, starts working on Batman and being like, I can't, this is far beyond what I'm able to do. He's dying.
Yep.
And Batman is so messed up that the only thing he can do is tap his finger in Morse code. And he taps Tommy Elliot.
Yep.
You know,
Call my homie Tommy.
He's talking, you know, Alfred's saying his skull is fractured and his spine and just everything is messed up. So Oracle says, I'll have Dick crash the car. You know, we're going to make it look like he was in a really bad car accident. We're going to have him rushed to Gotham General. Mm-hmm. So he gets rushed to Gotham General, and cocky Tommy Elliott's like, don't worry, folks, I'll have him fixed up by lunch.
Looks like somebody's having a headache.
Yeah, he just kind of that kind of shit. And, you know, it was really, really funny to kind of read. I love it. I love the whole time. Every panel is kind of interesting and it's kind of fun. And
mind you, this is all right at the very beginning.
Yeah, this is like just a couple pages
it
in.
Happens so quick.
It's happening really quick. I think this story in general moves very fast.
Yeah,
which is not. I think usually that's a bad thing, but this is paced very evenly.
This one covers a lot of ground too,
yeah.
like in regards to a story, so it's like the appropriate pacing. But yeah, no, you're right.
Well, so they have him under amnesia, right? Or amnesia. Under anesthesia. They have him under anesthesia, and he's being operated on, and they're doing like open brain surgery because he fucked up his head.
They're removing skull fragments.
Yeah,
from
they're
his
trying
brain.
to fix skull fragments and trying to fix the rest of his body. And so while he's under anesthesia, he's having flashbacks of when him and Tommy were kids and how they grew up together and how they were best friends up into a certain age.
Yep, Thomas Elliot and Bruce were childhood buddies, like BFFs, and then this is the point where they introduce you to that aspect.
And it showed they would always play like these war games with these pewter soldiers, and it was kind of like Risk, or, you know, those kind of, you have to really be thought out and have a game plan to win these games.
Which is funny because Batman always is known for planning ahead and being 20 steps ahead of people.
And that's kind of what he learned from Tommy, was that, you know, Tommy said, you're never going to win against me, because he would always beat Bruce. But he said, you're never going to win if you can't learn to be 6 steps ahead. You have to think like your enemy. And if you don't learn to think like your enemy, you're never going to beat me.
Yeah, those scenes are actually, they turn out to be very important, which, you know, a lot of times you know that they are, but the flashbacks play out really well into the story.
Right. So, and the flashback scenes were always great. I mean, there's so many really cool ones. And I love that the art design changed.
Yep, because it makes it seem like a foggy type memory.
It's so obvious that you're in a flashback, but it's very... I don't know how they captured what a memory feels like perfectly, but they captured what a memory feels like.
Because foggy's not the right word, but you get what I'm trying to say. They make it known that it's a memory,
skewed slightly.
It's an older time, like it's not the same time as it is now.
Everything, the exposure was turned up to very high, and everything was very. It was good, but so Bruce is saved. You know, Thomas Elliot did his thing.
Yeah. Now keep in mind, Thomas Elliot's like hotshot surgeon, like the #1 surgeon at Gotham General. Like,
which, if you'll remember, Thomas Wayne, Bruce's father, he was the #1. He was the big dog surgeon back before he was killed. So Thomas Elliot kind of followed in those footsteps, and he saves Bruce. So fast forward a little bit, and we have Croc, who's being held in captivity, and he gets so riled up at Batman's visit, trying to learn more information, that he breaks right through the protective glass and everything they had him behind, and he escapes. And Amanda Waller is basically like, you you have 12 hours. Go find them, or I'll fuck you up.
And this is the start where, like I was saying, that everybody that's associated with Batman in some capacity, they start rolling in now. Like characters, I mean.
I love,
just
because
starts
I
to
don't think
roll.
I've ever gotten a really honest to goodness like scene between Batman and Amanda Waller like this, where they're just face to face, and she's like, and he's just like, I don't like you, and I'm not afraid of you. And she goes, well, that fucking makes two of us. Go get him. Like,
There's a really good one in Assault on Arkham, the animated film.
Right, there
that's
is.
That's fantastic at
Yeah.
the end. Because she's basically just like, sup, Bruce? Yeah, I have resources too. I got you. And he's
Yeah.
like, yeah, well, I'm still Batman.
yeah,
bitch."
he's so there. Neither one of them are. That's the thing about Waller, is that I hate her as a character. I hate her so much.
That's what makes her cool.
But she's great in what her purpose is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I live for the days in the storylines where she gets put in her place. I thrive.
You know it'll never last though. Every
It
time she
doesn't
gets put in
last
her
because
place, you're like,
she
she's
doesn't
gonna get
learn
him
her
back.
lesson, you know?
Yeah.
But, like, you know that Batman, Superman, any of them could just fucking yup her up in a minute.
Yep.
But they'll never do it.
She's just like a master manipulator, and she gives no quarter. Like, I'm with you. I don't really like her at all, but I like the idea of her. Like, she's really
I think
cool.
she serves a really great purpose in the universe.
Couldn't have
and
picked
what
somebody
she does.
better to lead Task Force S.
Yeah.
X.
So what's really great is while he's on the hunt for Croc, he's out there trying to find Croc. Thomas Elliot, I'm just gonna call him Tommy from now on. Tommy Elliot, he stops by the manor trying to be like, hey Bruce, just want to make sure you're okay.
How
And
you
of course
doing, bud?
Bruce isn't there; he's on the hunt. So Alfred has to give the whole, well, I know he's recovering, but he found a lady friend who wanted to take care of him, and they're off gallivanting and whatnot. And he kind of,
They went on a quick trip to Venice.
yeah, they went.
Something not too extravagant.
So he warns Alfred in a very kind of like fucked up manner where he's like, tell Bruce that he needs to be careful because it's real easy to get hurt again. And the whole time you're like, oh, Jesus Christ, that was
Very cryptic, very awkward.
yeah. But so you get a little more flashback to Tommy's parents, being in a car accident and being rushed to Gotham Memorial as well. Thomas Wayne was not able to save his father. But he was able to save his mother. But right before they found out, Bruce had promised him that his dad would save his, Tommy's dad. And it really put that turmoil between the kids because when you're a kid, you don't understand the zero amount of weight that those words hold. But, then you find out your father's dead moments later. It's a tough thing, I can only assume my father's alive. So, it's got to be, rough.
And they start establishing like their relationship. So obviously Bruce, if you guys aren't aware, Bruce's parents died when he was a young boy.
Bruce's parents die eventually.
So then you see that Tommy had a similar situation, and these boys were, the best of friends, and then they both have this traumatic
Right.
incidents as young children. So it's just really cool. They start developing the story at this point.
Yeah, and
between
then you
those
find
two.
out that his, again, his mother's alive, so he
Yep.
still has his mother living, and
So he walked away with one parent.
you go back to the present where Batman's still hunting Croc, and a bullet takes out the tire of the Batmobile, and the whole time he's like, "That shouldn't what."
You know how many bullets could pierce my tires?
Yeah, do you know what I
always
mean?
just
Like,
imagine him saying that.
How
about
can
stuff.
anything pierce the tires of the Batmobile? So it takes out the tire and it sends him careening off of a bridge. So he ejects and he continues to follow Croc. Croc leads Batman to Selina Kyle, where they meet on a rooftop. And then all of a sudden he tries to kill her. I don't remember why. I just remember that he gets up there and he's like, "You bitch," and starts like freaking out. So Batman do what Batman do, and he stops Croc. He thinks
Croc blocker.
Yeah.
That was hard for me to say. Croc blocker.
so he tries to reason with Croc, and I think what he was saying the whole time is kind of like, he's changing. He's way more animalistic now. He's way more savage. He's no longer a man of thought.
Yeah, the Croc is taking over.
Yeah, he's really just turning into that crocodile animal kind of cryptic thing. And so the FBI shows up, and Croc's like, "I knew you couldn't be trusted," and he freaks the fuck out, and he tries to, I think he like jumps at the helicopter and stuff, but the FBI takes Croc away for Waller, and Selina kind of is like, I know where Ivy is. We got to go find Ivy. And that's when Batman and Selina, right there on that rooftop, have their very first kiss, which is so whatever.
This magic
The
moment.
the great part about it is seriously, and that's where we're talking about when the animated movie comes out, because we saw the side by side comparisons.
Very iconic frame.
It looks so pale in comparison to Jim Lee's huge moon in the Gotham skylight, and then in the movie it's very dark and dull and bruh.
Oh, keep in mind it's also matching the tone of the.
I know,
animated.
but come on.
Don't be such a hater.
Come on. Give me some
You acting like it looks like garbage or a piece of shit.
give me some Batman Catwoman magic. Let me see these crazy kids be in love for a minute.
If you Google that,
Yeah,
there's
I
some
was about to say.
websites that'll.
There's a
show
weird
you.
video
I think
like
you'll find
that.
what you're looking for.
Yeah. I remember that video.
Oh,
This
this is the wrong Hush.
So they she's like, I know where Ivy is. Ivy's in Metropolis. So they're like, oh fuck yeah, let's go to Metropolis, huh? We're gonna take a little trip. And he decides to leave Batman at home. He's like, hey, Batman doesn't need to go to Metropolis. Bruce Wayne needs to go to Metropolis.
Yep,
you
which
know?
is really cool.
And it's funny because he says, I'm leaving Batman at home. You find out very quickly he did not leave Batman at home.
Oh, he's
but
a liar.
he,
a liar.
So he shows up and he goes to see Lois Lane. He's like, I'm going to visit Lois. Now, keep in mind, at this point, Bruce and Clark know exactly who each other are.
Yeah.
Like, they're part of the Justice League. They're friends. They know exactly who they are. Clark is still kind of the nerd, like, him and Lois are together, but
Yeah, this part is awesome.
Bruce shows up and Lois goes nuts. Like, oh, like
she
she
is so
fawns
just-
over him.
She's like, if you would, right now, I'm down.
And then Perry crashes the party, and Perry's like, Bruce, you know, because I think at this point he owns the Daily Planet. He bought the Daily Planet. So he's like, Bruce, let me take you to lunch and all this, blah, blah, blah. And he's trying to get away from him and stuff. But so Selina goes off and tracks Ivy to a warehouse, and she goes to confront Ivy before Batman can get there. They have a little cat fight. Get it, Selina, Catwoman.
Shut up.
And Batman shows up to kind of break it up. And Ivy's like, hey, fuck you. I have my own champion. And who breaks right through the wall? None other than Superman himself under Ivy's control. And believe me, folks, if you're thinking, hey, how was Ivy able to control Superman? Because he doesn't have the same, DNA as normal people. Apparently, somebody was able to supply her with kryptonite lipstick.
That's so strange. All these random things have
Yeah.
been happening just to best the Dark Knight at every turn.
It's almost like it was a plan. Like somebody
weird.
planned this. You wouldn't.
And this is where this could possibly be the best part of the book, in my opinion.
I will say it is really cool because
Yeah.
Superman, she's like, go ahead and kill them. I'm done with them. And he fucking rips the building off of its like the whole thing.
Dude, this
he
fight
rips the
between-
whole building off of its foundation and throws it into the river.
This fight between Clark and Batman that's incoming in the book
Oh yeah.
is incredible.
So they make a little escape, right? And they go through like these tunnels, and he knows exactly where he's leading them
Yep.
into these tunnels. And he's like, these are lead-lined walls, and this is his blind spot, but he'll be here soon because he has super everything else.
Yeah.
And so by the time he says, Selina, you go that way, and he takes out of his belt a kryptonite ring.
Mm-hmm.
So he puts on the kryptonite ring, and as soon as Superman drops in, he gets bopped just right across the face.
Oh shit, I feel like I'm there now. Just keep going, man.
Right across
It's
the
awesome.
kryptonite wig. So, kryptonite wig.
He just faced him right across the kryptonite ring.
Yeah. So Selina snaps him out of the. He snaps him out of Ivy's control because she's like, "Oh, I know what to do," and she goes and kidnaps Lois and hangs her off a building and drops her. So Batman whaps Superman with that ring, and then he looks up and is like, "Hey, you got a choice, Clark. Go save her." And Catwoman's like, "Bye," and
Yeah,
drops
like
her.
no hesitation. That's
Which
why I always love that.
Is really funny because like in later, like especially now in the comics, her and Lois have just recently gotten like acquainted to where they're friends because they're she was gonna marry Batman, and it's so funny knowing that their first like real interaction was Catwoman throwing her off a building.
Well, you know what's hilarious to me is just like knowing Selina Kyle's character is obviously she knew that if she threw her off that Superman was gonna catch her.
Right.
However, if he didn't and she would have splattered all across the ground, I could see another frame where Selina looks over the edge and goes, and then just leaves. Like, she wouldn't care. She'd be
That's-
like, whatever.
I can agree. I think that one of the big parts of this book is showing how Selena is no longer, like, she's still very independent. Like, you get a lot of those glimpses of, like, I don't fucking need you, or
Yeah, the romance is
don't
like
touch me, but she clearly, like, really cares about Batman.
it's almost
And-
like it's very much just coming into fruition in this story, the romance.
No, well, this is 100%
Yeah,
where
so-
this is like its origin, really. Like,
Yeah,
they
it's, like,
always
happening.
catted around each other, but this is like where they became involved. And
Right.
but what's great is you can see her heart is like, I love this man so much that maybe I don't need to be as criminally as I used to be, you know?
But maybe I'll rob the occasional museum.
Well, what's great is next up you see Bruce. He's going to the opera, right? And he has a pretty little thing on his arm, and he goes in there. And Thomas Elliot invited him to share the box, and he invited Leslie Tompkins, and he invited Selena Kyle, who at this point Selena Kyle does not know who Batman is, and so they're sitting there watching. And who crashes the opera other than Harley Quinn herself, and tries to rob the place? So naturally she crashes the opera, and they're like, oh shit, we got Batman and Catwoman in the house. Stuff starts to happen, and boom, little big chase. It's a really fun scene. I don't really go over it because it's very short and I don't really care about it, but they make it out. Tommy gets his pendant that his mother gave him taken by Ivy, and they make it out, and you hear a gunshot right through the door, and Batman breaches the door, and you see Tommy Elliot lying dead on the ground with none other than the Joker sitting over him with a gun in his hand, laughing. And you're like, shit. So Batman, this is my favorite part of the book, by the way. Batman takes the Joker, starts beating the shit out of him, and every hit he keeps saying, stop, pop, stop, stop. He's like begging him, or you think he's begging and pleading, and finally he hits him one more time, and he goes, stop me if you've heard this one. And it's amazing, but he's beating him half to death. So Jim Lee's Joker, by the way, is honestly perfect. Like, that look, they did a similar iteration in that, I've talked about this book before, the one I had signed by Tinian. It was Justice League 13. He has the long nose and the very crazy look in his eye with the wild hair. It just looks amazing. It really gives you that sense of the Joker.
Two things I want to interject really fast because we kind of need them. We never did establish that Ivy actually is the reason Selena was even involved at the very beginning. She mind controlled her first. That's why she even did any of that stuff.
Okay, I skipped over that, but yeah.
That's
true.
okay. But just to build on your point of how it seems like everything's planned,
Right.
it was from the beginning.
Right.
So Selena was like that, blah, blah, blah.
Well,
they
they're
do all
trading
that.
off this briefcase, and we're trying to figure out where it's going or who needs it.
So when they go to track down Ivy, the reason that they're really doing that is because they found out that she had manipulated Selena.
Right.
So they're going to track her down. That's when she has Superman. By the way, at the point of the opera, she already does know that he's Bruce. Because on that rooftop scene is when he reveals his identity.
That's not true at all.
It is.
I literally just read the book.
Hand me the book.
It's absolutely
Hand me
not.
the book. Hand me the book.
And I'll tell you when it is.
Hand me the book.
Hold on. It's later when Hush reveals himself to the Joker and gets him out of jail. At the same time he's showing his face to the Joker, Batman's in the Batcave, and he says, I need to trust you with everything. And he takes off his cowl.
Okay.
And says,
Well, I'll get it. Actually, you keep going. I'll get it.
All right, I'm going to talk about this while he
going.
goes and is wrong.
Okay.
But so the Joker, he's hitting the Joker over and over again because the Joker just killed Tommy Elliot. And then, Batman's furious. So he's beating him to fucking death, trying not to kill him while he's reminiscing in his mind of all of the awful things that the Joker has done. All the things that he did to Jason and Barbara. And he killed Jim's wife. I forgot that the Joker killed Jim Gordon's wife. Completely forgot about that piece of history, and I just remembered it. Yep, go ahead and look through the book. You're fucking wrong.
Don't worry about me.
You're
Don't worry about
absolutely wrong. So he's about to snap Joker's neck while Jim Gordon steps up behind him and points his gun at Batman's head and says, I can't let you do this. He takes a shot as a warning shot, and it skims his arm, and he says, the next one, I'll put you down. And Batman stops. And he thinks, how can Jim, after all the things, he paralyzed your daughter, and he murdered your wife. How can you let this man live? And Jim just says, I believe in the law. I believe that we cannot be as bad as him. And the minute you kill him is when I'll see you as no different. Which, again, these are very few instances where I disagree. The Joker should absolutely be dead. That being said, it would be a much less interesting story if he ever actually died. So, as Batman and Jim Gordon walk away, kind of licking their wounds, you pan up to see Hush standing on the rooftop flipping Harvey Dent Two-Face's coin. So he's flipping the coin. Next scene, we're looking at Tommy's funeral. Batman gives this kind of eulogy speech where he starts reading "Oh Captain, My Captain," and the Bat family is kind of talking about, well, he seems different, and I thought he'd take this a lot harder. He's not much one for talking, and all this kind of good stuff, and it's kind of a nice scene because you see Bruce just like trying his best, I guess, to give a good eulogy, but you could tell I don't think he's comfortable or knows how to do so. So you go back to the Batcave and you see Bruce kind of analyzing all the data, and he realizes that not only is the Joker innocent, the Joker didn't kill Tommy Elliott. Did you find out how wrong you were?
I don't want to talk about it because it was just dumb to begin with.
I wrote notes.
It really doesn't matter who was right.
I wrote notes for a reason.
Well, I think it's really childish to try to figure out who was right. So let's just move on and have a good time. I don't even know why you brought it up.
So he's analyzing because the Joker kept saying, I'm innocent, I didn't kill him, but he's standing over him with a smoking gun. So back at the Batcave, he's analyzing the evidence, and he's realizing the Joker didn't kill him. Dick Grayson drops in, and they're talking a little bit, and he's talking about Selina, and he goes, well, the Joker didn't do it. He said not only did the Joker not do it, but somebody's been pulling these strings for the entire, ever since Killer Croc.
There's that unknown. There's an unknown entity from the beginning, like we've been discussing. They do such a great job about it too, because it's all connected somehow.
So Oracle radios in and says, "Hey, Batman and Nightwing, the Riddler just hijacked an armored car with $11 million on board." And there was this really great scene right after that where Batman says, let's take the car. And Nightwing goes, great, which one? And it pans up, and just like that scene in White Knight, you pan up to see all the past iterations of the Batmobiles up to that point, hanging in the hangar.
Batman Hush has such good fan service.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's really great.
It's awesome.
But you get that wide shot of the Batcave, just again, very similar to White Knight. And Batman wonders why he hasn't been tapped by the Riddler. I said Batman. He stops the Riddler, obviously. So they go, and the Riddler's like, I got all this money. And then he stops him. Batman stands over him, and he's wondering why the Riddler hasn't been tapped by this mystery villain. Why is he not part of the... He doesn't seem to fit anywhere in here, and he didn't do anything to further this kind of plot line, if that makes any sense. So, what I was saying when you were wrong is right after this, you see the Joker sitting in his jail cell, and a man walks up and says, I'm your attorney. You're being bailed out. And he says, oh, you? And it pans up, and you see it's Harvey Dent. Or he takes off the bandages. Takes off the bandages, and it's Harvey Dent. And he got plastic surgery. He says, Two-Face is gone. I fixed him, right? So Two-Face is gone. It's Harvey Dent who's been behind the bandages. Ha-ha, it's Two-Face.
Yep, and there it is. There's the identity reveal.
And right simultaneously, you have Batman at the cave. He goes, I need to talk with you, Selina. And he takes off his cowl and is like, I'm Bruce Wayne, and I'm a billionaire. And she goes, meow, you're rich. So, it's pretty neat shit. From there on, he goes and is like, hey, I need to go steal Talia for some reason, Talia's on a LexCorp jet, and I need to go take her. And he takes her off the jet, and he flies her down and says, I'm going to keep you here safe. And he gives her to Selina. He says, Selina, you watch her. She's a slippery snake. But if I know Talia, Ra's is going to be coming to look for me. So this is kind of like the least interesting part of the book. I don't really understand it.
It's got some cool moments like the sword fight with Ra's.
Yeah, the sword fight with Ra's is cool. So they go and he confronts Ra's because Ra's left a sword stabbed into his back computer. And he goes, hey, Ra's, you're a prick. What's up? Why didn't you kill Alfred if you were in the cave? And he goes, fight me. So they fight. He beats Ra's, and then he's like, the only information you gain from this whole thing is that somebody used the Lazarus Pit. And the whole time, if you're not going into this blind, you're like, oh, was it Jason Todd? And he's like, somebody used the Lazarus Pit and came back to life. Who do you know who'd want to come back from the dead? So Batman goes and kind of confronts people. Ba-boom. Man in the bandages once again shows up, and he takes off the bandages. This time, instead of being Two-Face, it's Jason Todd.
Holy
bum,
shit.
bum, 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 bum. So,
And this is before Under the Red Hood came
this is
out.
before Under the Red Hood, but he's an older Jason Todd.
Yeah, how cool does he look, though?
He looks really great.
awesome.
He has this big white stripe through his head like a skunk, and he like starts fighting Batman, but the whole time Batman's like, you're a fucking fake. You're a phony. Phony. And he's fighting him.
They're presenting it like it's denial.
Well, no, not really,
Sort of.
because I think the whole time I'm reading it, he's like genuinely like if you were really him, you would know this. And in his head, you have this inner dialogue like, if this were really Jason, he would have called me Bruce by now. And I'm like, oh, he would have called you Bruce.
Can you
by
imagine though, like if he took the bandages off and it's Jason in quotes, and then Batman was just like, bullshit.
Now? Well, he also is like, why is this? So Jason died when he was a teenager, right?
Yeah, why are
and he's
you
been
old?
dead for a few years. Why are you aged? And Nightwing, later he's like, because they had to cover up the fact that they couldn't make a perfect clone. They didn't remember enough.
Right.
It was a big fucking spoiler. It was Two-Face. Two-Face turned into this fake Jason Todd. But still, it was a really cool kind of scene. And Jason Todd, hold on, I'm gonna grab this book real quick.
Yeah, and in this part too, there's other people too, like Scarecrow and all that stuff. So, you had the wheel, man.
I know. I forgot something
I
real
wasn't
quick,
prepared.
and now I want to check it
Well, check it out.
because I don't remember what happened with Scarecrow.
Yeah, he comes flying by on a motorcycle.
Yeah, I remember that.
And he's like, "Arr," he's like, you're a fear, doing Scarecrow shit. Because he's like fighting, like, it seems like there's multiple people fighting at this time, if I'm remembering correctly.
I don't know, but you know what's fucked up about this is, so you have this, and then you're still under the impression that Two-Face was the one who's really behind the bandages.
Mm-hmm.
But we find out by the end, big fucking spoiler alert here, once again, it's Tommy Elliott. And the person who was shot in the alley with Jim Gordon's gun, by the way, oh, spoiler, was Clayface as well. So Clayface keeps making people think you thought, and then you find out it was Tommy under the bandages. But you never actually get that reveal. He never takes the bandages off. They kind of fight for a minute, and then he goes away.
Well, the thing with that, though, is he changes his face. That's the thing with Hush.
But not in this. That's the thing. Not in this.
Well, I'm just saying that's like how he's kind of known now. But
Which is where I hadn't read this in a while, and I couldn't remember the very ending, and that's what I was expecting. But we didn't get any of that. Because in the mythology, he keeps changing his face through plastic surgery and becoming, like in the Arkham Knight game, he became Bruce Wayne. And in other iterations, I thought we were going to get, he became, like, he made himself look like Harvey Dent. And then he changed it again to look like someone. But no, you don't get any of that. So where did that lore come from? Did that come from the sequel that I didn't read?
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay.
We didn't get any of
Yeah,
that.
I guess so. I guess he just wore bandages.
He just keeps his face
because he
bandaged.
couldn't think of a cool mask idea. So.
And then Batman was like, oh, Tommy. And he gets away and he just lets him stay gone.
Yeah, so we kind of zipped through that. But at this point, think about all the rogues that have been pulled into this Grandmaster plan.
Well, I think that's kind of what I
Everybody.
want to do. So guys, if you're thinking these guys are terrible storytellers, we are.
You're right.
We're not here to read the fucking book, man. You should have read. We told you weeks ahead of time. You should have read it. I'm not going to outline the whole story for you. My point is I wanted to go through. I know he's mad. Matt's mad because he didn't actually read the book.
Go easy on them. I read.
My point is that I wanted to go through the story very quickly just so we could spend the next 30 minutes or so talking about our favorite parts and what we wanted. So that's what I want to go back to real quick.
Okay.
My favorite parts, again, the Joker scene. When we really get the Joker, he is done amazingly. And there was this really funny gag where Harley sneaks up behind Batman and she puts her finger to her lips and is like, shh. And she has the giant fucking mallet and she comes down and Batman does a little spin move. Haha. And she brings it right down on the Joker's arm, breaking his arm. And I'm like, this is some Looney Tunes shit. And that's like the golden era of the Joker and Harley Quinn to me. Like when they were at their best writing wise. and I absolutely love that about them. But then you have other really great... Talia al Ghul, by the way, serves no interesting purpose to this story other than being Talia.
Put there.
It was very cool when she kind of saw how Batman and Catwoman felt about each other, and she goes, you know, you can never have him. And Catwoman is in super denial. She's like clearly she loves him, and she's like, but this will never work, kind of thing. And I'm not gonna be the line that trips you up. She said that like 4 times throughout the whole story, but. It's such a good book, but the ending to me left me wanting. I was like, is that really how we end it with Hush?
Well, no, there was more to the ending. Because remember when you were looking at me all awkward? Wasn't the Riddler pulling the strings the whole time?
Shit.
It was like a double entendre.
That's right. So you mentioned the Riddler, and it's because
you're like, I wish there was more. I'm like, well, you didn't say the end.
So that's it. You find out right at the end that the Riddler was actually pulling all of these strings from the get-go.
That's what saved the whole book. Because yes, you're right. In the cemetery, when everything's coming to fruition, you get the reveal.
Right.
It's kind of. I don't want to say rushed, but it kind of is. And they burn through it. And there's a quick resolution.
He's just kind of like revealing himself through memories, and he's just like, you remember we used to play these stupid Civil War games, Bruce. You remember all this, and
this is also the point too, where he explains to him that everything that's been happening to you since you had your line snapped, and like he's showing him he did that he manipulated it. I'm the one, and like Bruce is going like, well, damn, he's the one that made me crack my skull. Then he fixed my skull,
right?
And
he didn't. Cool. He didn't do it. Like Hush.
Well, yeah, like
Tommy Elliott did it. But that's God. I can't believe I forgot about this, because that was the best part. Because earlier in the book, you're learning about the different Robins, right? Mm-hmm. And he's saying again how, and I think we already talked about this earlier when I was talking about the news, how Dick Grayson was like, "This is a mission," and Jason thought it was a game, but Tim Drake genuinely wanted to be the world's greatest detective. Mm-hmm. Tim Drake became Robin. He never wanted another Robin after Jason died.
Right.
And Tim Drake showed up at his doorstep having deduced that he was Batman. And he had also figured out something else.
That makes me think of The Dark Knight Rises, where he's like, I saw you once when I was an orphan, and the way that you smiled, I knew that you were Batman.
Right, except it was done a lot better in the comics. And but, you know, Tim Drake kind of showed up one day and was like, hey, you either train me or
I'm telling.
I'm going to fuck you up. I'm going to let everyone know.
He's a little bitch. I hate Tim Drake. So
Batman then realizes, he goes to the Riddler and he goes, so I figured if anybody in the world deduced who I really was, it was you. But do you know why I'm not afraid of you, Nigma? Because you know that the best part about a riddle is that nobody but you knows the answer. And you're not going to tell anybody. You only told who you needed to tell to make the riddle go further. But you're not going to tell anybody else. He said, I've got you in a box. He said, and I will always be over you. And Riddler starts getting so angry and so upset. And I don't remember what it was, but he mentioned something about Tommy or Jason, and Batman turns around and just breaks his fucking face. Just, wah! And it was really a cool moment. But
that was the most intriguing part about this whole book to me was... I mean, from the cover to the very end, it's like this story's about Hush. Hush is the one pulling the strings. He's the badass new villain. He's doing all of it. Look how smart he is. This is crazy. Oh, Batman still got his guy. No problem. Boom! It was the Riddler the whole time.
Oh, I can't believe I forgot to like outline this. But so there was this, when they go to Metropolis, he meets Tommy right at the airport, right? Mm-hmm. So Tommy had flown in for his own reasons, and they just happened to see each other. So they're like, you want to share a car?
Which, by the way, all that's intentional because Tommy was doing everything on purpose.
But as they're sharing a car, they you get another flashback to when they visited Metropolis with Bruce's father as a kid, and they're standing there waiting for his father to go check in at the hotel, and they turn around and see the Silver Age, or the Golden Age, I'm sorry, the original Green Lantern, flying around and trying to defeat, it was an ice villain, I think. I don't remember who it was.
Sub-Zero.
Yeah, it was Sub-Zero. But it was, and I'm not talking Hal Jordan, I'm talking Golden Age, the guy with the red shirt with the crappy lantern on it. And
Say his name, fake fan.
I don't know his name.
Neither do I.
So we're looking into getting the Rodecaster Pro for our podcast, and it has like this, not only the levels in the board so we can get proper mics and everything, but it does have this pad where you can do effects. and I'm gonna have one that just says "fake fan," like just so I can do that. Yeah, just anytime I forget, because I am a fake fan. But
Yes.
you know what? I don't remember. Do you remember the original Green Lanterns?
Oh God, no, absolutely not.
I'm gonna have to look it up.
So one thing, God, we are crappy storytellers. Actually, we're not. It's just hard when you like try to. What I'm getting at is we completely didn't even touch on the fact that Tommy's the one that tried to kill his own parents. By the way.
No, so he
Yeah,
is. So Tommy
so-
kind of outlines that he insisted the driver stay home.
Yep.
And he cut his parents' brake
Yeah,
lines.
so they present to you, poor Tommy, his parents, that just like Bruce, blah. So here's the deal: Tommy was going to kill his own parents because he wanted his inheritance. It was
Right.
that simple. So what happened is knocked off his dad, no problem.
Oh, it's Alan Scott. How did I forget that?
I don't know. He knocked off his dad, no problem.
Alan
His
Scott.
mom's like knocking on death's door. He's like, sweet, no problem. And here is why he hates Bruce Wayne so much.
And he even
Because-
said he's like, I had to wait years for her to
Yes.
die of cancer.
It's really so silly, but he's mad at Bruce because his dad saved his mom's life, and then, like you said, he had to wait years and years and years to get his inheritance, and then he realized that Tommy Elliot's just a little shit, and
Yeah.
like he's just a little shithead, and like that was it. That's like what boiled down his whole wanting to have vengeance over Bruce Wayne.
So
for
in
his
the
whole
current
life.
Batman run, there's something really similar where it's this kid. I don't remember his name, but it's this kid who murdered his parents, and his butler was like he forced him into being his accomplice. But he was so obsessed with the story of Bruce Wayne. He didn't know Bruce Wayne was Batman, but he was so obsessed with Bruce Wayne that he murdered his parents to have like that same trauma and like people feeling bad for him and attention and his money. And he carved under his eyes, right on his cheekbones, he carved Thomas and Martha's names into his face.
Great.
This like little 13 or 10-year-old, 10 to 13-year-old kid just carved their names into his face. And it was so brutal in a weird way.
Kids those days.
But yeah, man. So again, like, I'm sorry guys if you were expecting better storytelling, but
I'm not.
I
should know by now.
I very much enjoyed the book. I hope you guys read it. If you didn't read it, you're probably not listening. So,
This is just how we do.
this is how we do it. But yeah, I highly suggest it. Next week, we're going to be doing our Arkhamverse #2. We're going to be going over Arkham City. Is that what we're doing? Because we haven't done any other ones.
Yes.
Except for Arkham Asylum. So we're going to
We
be
did
going
that
over
a
Arkham City.
long while
That
ago.
one will probably be a little more in depth. We're not gonna leave you guys hanging because
I could do a quick run through of City this week. I could. I don't know if I should, but I could.
it's up to you.
I did it a few months back. I played all of them. I played Origins through Night in chronological
I
order.
don't remember City as much, so I think I'm gonna try this week. I've been really busy lately, but I think I'm gonna try to play as much through again because I just beat it like a couple months ago, but I already forgot it. But it's again, really fun game series. And then the week after, like I said, we're gonna do the Bat in the Hat writes the DCEU. So that's gonna be my favorite episode.
Our storytelling on that will be much better, I promise.
That's
it's gonna
that's
be our own
storytelling.
story.
And Matt is gonna helm the Arkhamverse since he clearly knows
Yeah,
City.
I'll take point on.
He
the
knows
Arkhamverse.
City and Origins more. I'll probably come in a little heavier on Night when we get to
You'll
that.
try.
But
Yeah, you'll try.
I'll speak up a little more. But he'll definitely be taking City and Origins.
Oh, can I throw in one random thing real quick?
Sure.
Okay. You look like you're offended by that.
Do you want to go ahead and speak your point, you little bitch?
So
boy?
we listen here, Jimothy. So we both joined essentially the AMC movie club
I
lately.
still haven't used my
Well,
pass.
yeah, well, it's whatever. But so the way that it works is we can go see 3 movies a week in any format for like $22 a month. It's a great value. So here's the deal. I actually started using mine to its full advantage. So I've seen in the past week and a half, I saw Brightburn, Detective Pikachu, Dark Phoenix, and 2 nights ago I saw Men in Black. Here's the reason I'm bringing this up. Just real quick, I want to kind of do stuff like this because I love movies. I'm going to give you a rundown of some stuff. Number 1, do not go see Brightburn. It was shit. That movie sucked.
Was it shit or was it just a disappointment? Like, honestly, like, as a movie in itself, was it an okay watch? Or...
It was a shit appointment.
What?
There's a shit.
Oh, it's a shit appointment.
It just wasn't that very. It just wasn't very good. It was a disappointment, and
But
it
was
shit.
it like bad? Bad is what I mean. Like, because I think we had I think you and me both had pretty high expectations for that.
I mean, it wasn't great. Dude.
Okay, I mean,
Like,
fair. I haven't seen it, so I just really want to know that.
So I wouldn't wait. Well, since you're in the movie club, just
Yeah,
go
I have the
see
movie
it.
club.
Whatever.
I'll go see it.
Detective Pikachu. Do go see that movie. Was fantastic.
Supposed to be seeing that.
Fun
tonight.
for all ages.
Fun
For people like me, I'm 30
for
years old.
everyone.
I'm about to be 31. I got to live through the golden age of Pokemon. When all the OGs came out, I was that perfect age. I got all the cards.
Yeah, so I was gonna ask,
Everything.
like, honestly, because I still to this day am like a really big Pokemon fan, and I do kind of center my knowledge around the first 3 gens because that was my favorite.
First 150, the best.
the
151.
151. But I love all the way up until they had Hoenn and they had like Rayquaza and Groudon and stuff. Those were my favorite ones. So
I don't know what any of that means.
yeah, but you remember, so you had like the blue and red and yellow,
Yes,
and then you
yes.
had gold, silver, and crystal, and then you had for us it was ruby, sapphire, and emerald. Those are the 3 generations I really love. As a Pokemon fan, as somebody like, I'm gonna buy the new game when it comes out for the Switch because I love my Switch and I play Pokemon Let's Go Eevee all the time. As a Pokemon fan, like a real Pokemon fan, is there enough fan service? Is it a good movie to really like nerd out on? Like,
Yeah.
oh my god, I can't believe
it's heavily influenced by the Gen 1 Pokemon. Obviously, Pikachu himself is
Right.
Gen 1. So for me, I don't know anything past 151. Like, I stopped. I got too old
Right.
at that point. And then now here I am again playing the games and shit at 30.
right.
Anyways, but yes, because it has a lot to do with the original generation. And then there's a bunch of them, like I say, I don't know the Pokemon.
Right.
You probably would right off the bat. And
course,
it's
yeah.
great. Like, there's tons of fan service. There's fan service in the first 30 seconds.
The ones that I've seen, there's very few that go outside of those 3 gens I was talking about. Like, my favorite
Yeah.
ones, all of the ones that I've seen, like, I can name almost every single of the Pokemon from, like, the trailers and stuff because it looks like it was all in the generations that I loved. There was a couple that I didn't, like, I recognized, but I wouldn't know the names of them because I just don't keep up with the newer games and stuff. Now I am, because, again, the new one for the Switch looks like it's going to be amazing. But
I will tell you that all of the key ones that are involved in the movie that like have more than a 2-second cameo are from Gen 1.
so I can
Except
tell you
for
that
maybe 1 or 2.
the Let's Go game that came out for the Switch, the one that I play all the time, that is Pokemon Yellow. It's Pokemon Yellow in new graphics, so it's first gen all the way through.
Yeah.
They're coming out with a sequel to that next year, maybe 2021, I think, early 2021 it's going to come out, which is going to be the gold and silver era, so the second gen. Even though you stopped at the first one, I would highly suggest getting it and playing it.
Oh, I will. I just got a Switch 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
because
because you honestly would love, because when you get like Lugia and Ho-Oh and some of those legendaries and like Entei and Suicune, like it really has the same amazing feel that the first gen had. And I think there's a definite switch. I even felt it with the third gen, but it was still close enough that you liked it. But after that, it just doesn't have that same amazing feel for Pokemon. And that's why I think that they went with the decision in like Pokemon Detective Pikachu, that they were going to stick to a lot of the early gen stuff because they knew that it had that nostalgia feel.
Yeah, it was awesome. Moral of the story, go see that. It was fantastic.
What were some of the other ones you saw?
Dark Phoenix. This may be an unpopular opinion. I don't think it was anywhere near as bad as people are trying to say it is. Here's the only problem. It didn't really have a point. So I'm
okay, what do you mean?
I'm going to be 100% honest. Like, some of the best X-Men action of the whole franchise.
Okay.
From the first movie all the way through Apocalypse.
Right.
It had some of the best action scenes ever in the X-Men movies. Had some of the best X-Men team fighting, like multiple X-Men, going at it and all that stuff. It was incredible. But throughout the whole movie, you're kind of sitting there and you're like, there's really nothing at stake here. Like, why is this movie happening? So you're just like, there's really no point.
Yeah,
And then the end, you know how this was the last one?
Right.
It just kind of ended. Like,
Exactly.
There was no send off. There was nothing.
That's what I heard. Somebody said that they were expecting it to be a finale.
Yeah, there was no closure.
And there was nothing closing the series off.
No, it seems like in a year they could come out and be like, "Surprise, we're doing another one."
Right.
Because there was no
technically
closure.
New Mutants is supposed to be the last movie that's not connected and has almost nothing to do with anything else. But that's looking like it's never even going to be released.
Yeah, they said if it does, it'll be like on some
Hulu.
streaming service or
Yeah.
something. But anyways, what I'm saying is people are saying that Dark Phoenix is just so terribly bad you can't bear to watch it. I don't think that's true. It was okay. I enjoyed it. I'd probably watch it again. Get a little slow at times, but overall, it's not the worst X-Men that I've seen.
Right.
That's for sure. So that one's okay.
Yeah,
And
I've heard generally it's around like a 6.5.
that's exactly what I'd say, 6.5 or 7.
Yeah,
out
right
of
in that
1,000.
area. I wouldn't now I haven't seen it. I wouldn't shit on it just for what it is, but I'm not a fan of these X-Men movies. I think they've just been handled poorly.
Part of me's gonna miss this X-Men
and
universe
again,
in a weird
that's
way.
where I always say, like, look, I didn't like it, but a lot of people did. So good, teach their own.
And then,
I'm one of those people who, as much as I love Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, I'm very excited to see who they get for the next iteration.
I hope it's Scott Eastwood.
I think it'd be cool with Scott Eastwood. Everybody wants Tom Hardy to come over from.
I don't, and I love Tom Hardy. He's one of my 3 just hard man crushes.
Yeah, I got a man crush on him, man.
big time.
Can't lie. I love
Big
the guy,
time.
but I don't want to see him.
I
I
don't want him
would
to
be
do it.
interested. I don't know why. I think he's way too big, so it wouldn't make sense.
The
but
Rock.
if Jason Momoa was serious about wanting to play Wolverine, I'd be interested to at least see what that looks
I
like.
don't want that at all either.
Yeah, he's too big.
And then finally, I saw Men in Black the night it came out.
Oh, how was that, man?
Again, another one that people are. I swear, people have they make their decision right off the bat. They're like, it's
Yeah.
garbage. Have you seen it? No, I don't need to. It's horrible. I went and saw it. I'm a big fan of Men in Black. I love the movies. I know it's not going to be anything like the old ones, obviously. It doesn't matter because you start to like, I'm going to call them Thor and Valkyrie.
Yeah.
I liked it. I thought it was fine. It was okay. Like, I enjoyed it. But then again, I like movies that are just silly little.
I want to ask
Probably
you just
not
one
great.
spoiler question, but I don't. I'm going to ask him a spoiler question about Men in Black. So guys, if you're going to see it, don't
There's
listen.
really nothing that I can give away that's going to ruin the movie.
Is Liam Neeson like that's the I feel like Liam Neeson's role is they were going to be like, it's Liam Neeson, and then at the end he's going to turn out to be a bad guy. Like he was the mentor, and then they were like, haha, surprise, he's the dick.
I'm not going to tell. You got to see it for it to
Yeah,
make
see,
sense.
I knew it.
I'll give you a sort of a spoiler, but I won't tell you what it is.
What?
They have a very funny, very obvious, very fantastic scene in which they reference one of the star's other major roles that he's done a lot of.
Thor?
It's Thor. Yes, just see the movie.
They made Thor jokes in the movie?
No, there was one scene where... Do you want me to just tell you?
Yeah, fuck
Okay.
yeah.
Again, this doesn't ruin the movie at all, folks. There's a scene where he's fighting this guy, and he's kind of getting his ass kicked. And he looks over, and there's literally a ball ping hammer.
Uh-huh.
Just a normal hammer. And everybody in the theater's like, no. And he grabs the hammer, and I shit you not, he stands up and does that Thor stance.
Right.
Like he's got the hammer, and he gets up, he swings it a little bit, and he goes, my, how the tables have turned. Like he said it just like Thor. I'm
Right.
sure it was exactly a line, and everybody just starts dying because he's got this hammer. It's just very obvious that they're mocking Thor.
That's pretty funny,
and,
dude.
that made it worth it. But I'd
So,
go see that one.
I remember when Men in Black 3 came out and everybody hated it. And I was like,
I thought it was fantastic.
I loved it.
love it.
I thought it was such a fun movie.
Men
That's
in
what
Black-
I'm saying. People get mad at me because I
like bad, good movies.
I
if that
do.
makes
I
sense.
love bad, good movies, but I'm so easily entertained. It takes not a lot, but it takes bad writing, like truly bad writing and bad storytelling for me to hate a movie.
I feel like people just take a lot of the fun out of stuff now too. Like,
Well, that's what
do you
everybody
ever
just wants
want
to
go have fun? It's like when I say it's a fun movie, that's not code for me saying it's a bad movie. Sometimes it is. But like, I like to be entertained.
Depends on how you say
I don't
it.
need it to be something amazing.
Everybody
every time.
wants to think that they have an opinion, and everybody wants to have a louder opinion than the
It's
next
just
person.
so obnoxious.
And the only way to do that in today's day and age is, unfortunately, to yell and rant and rave about how bad something is. It's like that old joke where in order to be a food critic, you have to, this food is bad. This pasta is, this art is bad. You know what I mean? Like, that's just the old joke. And everybody likes to think that they have some weird higher authority. Like, go fucking make a movie. I dare you.
Well, social media has given people false sense of
Oh,
importance.
yeah, social
That's
media
all
has
it
given
is.
everybody a platform.
Everybody thinks they are way more important than they really
But
are.
you get my point. It's like, go make a movie. I dare you. Just write. You don't have to make a movie. Write me a movie right now, and I will tell you why you should not fucking open your mouth about these movies. Like, and I don't mean that. Of course, everybody can have an opinion. I just think that the people who jump to these conclusions so fast for absolutely no reason, like, why, man? Just enjoy something. Let us enjoy it.
I've always thought this, like, people that are like that, I would love for them to have no exposure to other people's opinion. None.
Right.
Zero. Watch the movie, and then I want their God-honest opinion. And I want to see if it's still what that would have been.
Absolutely. So a lot of people, and that's a good point, they hear what they think sounds good, or they hear what somebody else has to say about it.
Or the consensus is that it's bad.
And all of a sudden it's like this weird mindset, well, oh, so many people hate this. If I like it, there must be something wrong with me. You know, and you go in with like this, this is going to blow. And it's just not like that, man. There's so many movies that people hate that I just really enjoy. But
so, yeah, I ran the first Gauntlet, had a lot of fun with that, seeing those. I'm going to go see Godzilla next week.
I was going to say, I'm going with you on Thursday, I think. You said you wanted to see a movie this Thursday.
What do you want to see?
I don't know. You want to see Godzilla?
I do, yeah. But we can see whatever you want.
Well, you've already seen most of what's out, so I'll go by myself.
Well, that's not fair to you to be like, we'll figure this out off air.
You guys don't need to hear our marital
I'm gonna go see Godzilla and then Spider-Man. Super excited. Couple weeks away.
Spider-Man. Oh, Far From Home's coming out.
You know, have you heard of Spider-Man?
That I will be there for.
Yeah, super excited. I've already got my tickets for it.
That I want to go see in the Dolby
So the
theater.
fun thing about Spider-Man is that since it's coming out in the middle of summer, it comes out on a Tuesday rather than a Thursday.
Really?
Night. Yeah. So I'm going to see it on Wednesday, the second day it's out, technically.
I was going to say, because I'm off Wednesdays and Thursdays, too.
Yeah, well, come with us.
I'm
sure the seats are gone, so you snooze, you lose, just like you did in Endgame.
I really
Cry
did.
me a river.
I wonder if the seats for that Wednesday showing are gone.
Probably.
I don't know.
We'll figure it out off air.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, I'm down to see Godzilla for sure if you want to go see that Thursday, because I'm excited. I wasn't going to see Godzilla, to be honest. But again, now that I have this pass, I'm going
to see
open.
Everything.
But I've heard so many good things about it already that I'm really excited now. Kevin Smith and Mark Bernardin spoiled most of the movie for me, but they gave it such glowing, like, it just felt good for Godzilla fans. Like, if you're a Godzilla fan, it really takes you into that mode. And I grew up loving Godzilla.
I've been told that all the OG Godzilla fans, like the golden age of Godzilla,
they're
going to love this movie because it was made for them.
Oh,
so
100%.
But yeah, super, super cool.
So that's cool.
I'm even going to go see Stuber. Have you seen
What's Stuber?
It's where Batista.
Oh, yeah.
He's
like CIA.
Or something. And then
and the little girl finds out who. It looks like the Rock made. Oh, no. Vin Diesel made a movie, The Pacifier. And that's what that reminds me of.
Well, Stuber's more like he's cracking down on drug cartels, and his Uber driver ends up being his partner.
Oh, I thought that was the one. Have you seen the one Batista's in where he's like CIA and this little girl, he's like on a sting operation, and this little girl tracks him into the place and records their identities. And he like now has to take this little girl and teach her how to be a spy so she can stand up for herself to the bullies at school. It's like the weirdest kids movie. It looks like the Tooth Fairy kind of, I don't know. But yeah, Batista's turning out to be actually a pretty funny and good action actor. But I don't know. That's all I got, Matt. Do you got anything else?
Nah, that's it.
Cool.
Next week is Arkham City.
Yes, next week is Arkham City, and then again, we're going to write the universe.
Big shout out, hello to all of our new followers. I've noticed a little bit of a flux.
Yeah, we have a little more.
And shout out to our current followers
who probably don't listen this far in, but thank
Nobody's
you guys. That's what I was going to say. Thank you guys for listening once again, and again, please, you guys have been so good about interacting with us on Facebook and shit. Keep that shit up, man.
Yeah, it's fun.
I like talking to you guys. I like hearing. A lot of y'all have really stupid opinions, so I really enjoy hearing what you have to say. But
If you prefer to talk to one of us specifically, please clarify.
I don't know. I don't like
everybody
that,
knows
Steve.
that my opinions are better anyways, so
Yeah.
that's fine. But anyways, everybody have a great week. If you're still listening, thank you.
Yeah, it's
And,
Monday. It's Monday when this is coming out. So if
Yeah.
you're listening to it on Monday, then enjoy your week.
Yep.
We're going to try to do the same and hopefully bring you some new and exciting content and news pretty soon.
Big things on the way, folks.
Big things. But thank you guys so much. Good night, Matt's mom.
Good night.